Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Oh Right Yeah. Well, we'll be discussing angry lesbians, fence sitting and unserious tops. Yeah. It is exciting times because this one actually is very close to my heart because we have Corrinne Hasson. Welcome. You're not going to know her from insane TikTok reels. You're going to know her because she's the executive director of the National Women's Council.
Yes.
That's a mouthful. I got it out there though.
Oh, I still struggle with it too.
Women's Council.
I just usually say NWC.
So. Oh yeah, NWC. Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, all right, NWC it is. Fine. How long have you been there?
Actually, only since January of this year. So I'm still new enough in the post. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
so the reason we have you on basically is I had started in the midwife reels and they were taking off, and there was a bit of a conversation around, well, it's not the midwives, it's the system. There's patriarchy there. Then I saw something that you guys had posted about the mental health reform. Ireland had posted this survey, the report, sorry. Tell us about that, actually.
So they published a report a couple of years ago, and it's really unbelievably shocking, to be honest with you. So basically what it showed was between 2000 and I think it's 2009 to 2019,
right.
The number of women that died within the first year of having a baby due to suicide was 12%, but from 2019 to 2022 it had risen to 33%.
That's that's the fact that
it's shocking.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And actually so we got in touch about this and I reached out because you were talking about it, and we'll get on to the submission you put into the Joint Oireachtas in a minute, but I got in touch to say, look, I'd love to help out. But in the meantime, you personally got in touch with me to share a midwife story or to share a birthing story or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so you had been in hospital and you were talking about kind of being dismissed.
Yes,
as women so
often
are. And I was saying, listen, I totally get it. Earlier this year, I ended up having emergency surgery because the symptoms were dismissed. So like we're on the same page with that. And for me, it was very much a case of I had a pain in my side, went into the hospital, you have a cyst, it's grand, went home. And then a couple of months later, the pain came back again. It was the week of International Women's Day. So we were slammed with lots of work. I was due to go to New York the following Monday to the United Nations, to the Commission for the Status of Women. So I was like, so I was like, I have a lot on, I have things to do. And I was in a meeting with one of my colleagues and I thought, oh, Jesus, my side is really sore. And within about 4 hours, I was getting sick with the pain. And my wife was like, we are going to the hospital.
Had to have been your appendix.
Well, I thought appendix. Yeah. I was like, this is what it is. This, like, it was at the right-hand side. So I went into the hospital and had to wait a few hours. They gave me pain relief. So it did start to kind of subside everything. They gave me a scan and they were like, oh, it seems like you might have had some endometrioma cysts that have ruptured. Now, I've never been told that I have endometriosis. Ever. And like I've had other surgeries, and I've had IVF and they check everything. So nobody had ever mentioned anything before. And I kind of was like, I'm just going to stick through this pain, it'll be grand. And they were going to send me home, and my wife just said, I'm not taking her home. I've watched her give birth. Good. I've seen her like in all sorts of like painful situations, and she's like, she can handle it. Like I've never seen her get sick before. And so I was raging with her. I was giving her that look, like, how dare you, I have things to do. I need to go home. But the next day they scanned me again and they said, listen, you need to go in surgery right now. And within half an hour I was in having my ovary removed because it had all basically ruptured. And I had loads of endometriosis.
My God.
That had all,
maybe that's what you did say that to me then. And I'm just sorry because I got so many stories in that period of time.
I'd say.
That is absolutely horrendous. And this is the one thing that I see time and time again with new mothers and the horrible birthing stories is that I couldn't advocate for myself.
Oh yeah.
And one person out of the hundreds of people that messaged me said I was advocated for by my mother because my mother was in the room, but obviously we have the birthing partner in the room, but you had another woman there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that men can't do it, but they just don't get it. I mean, Fergal fainted or puked for my labour. Do you know what I mean? So advocacy is a massive
the poor
thing.
lad, is he okay?
Is he okay? Everybody dropping all the implements
Fergal's on the ground.
Forget about her, what about him?
But advocacy is such a huge thing we need in today. And that's why we need the National Women's Council.
Yes,
right?
and a huge part of what we do, like we're a membership-based organisation. So we have 200 organisations that are members. So we cover a huge amount of women across like all sections of society. And it's the one thing that we're really proud of. It's not just, a one group of women together. We cut across everyone. So migrant women, traveller women, Roma women, LGBT women. And that's a huge core part of what we do. So whenever we talk about supporting women, we talk about women in all of their diversity because we need all women to feel safer and to be protected. But the work that we do is about progressing gender equality and women's rights in this country. And it's all to do with advocacy.
Woohoo.
It's all to do with campaigns, and it's all to do with getting the people who need to listen to us.
Yeah.
And that is through sometimes those submissions that you were talking
So,
about.
yeah. So basically, the National Women's Council, I'm going to dumb it down for myself.
Go
here,
for it.
Possibly Abby as well. You are an organisation.
Don't presume, Laura.
I will bloody presume. I know you well enough. You're an organisation that finds and gives voices to women who need it to advocate for equal rights, or minorities, and essentially through the amplification of your services.
Yeah. Well, we don't deliver services, so
Right.
a lot of it is advocacy and campaign work. So we have a policy team, and they look at climate, they look at women in leadership, they look at health, they look at violence against women, which is massive. It's a huge crisis in this country, and we look at all different things in life essentially that affect women and progressing our rights. So even the gender pay gap, pension pay gap. Everything, care, like we have a huge campaign. It's called Together for Public, and it's all around trying to progress.
Together for Public,
and it's all around trying to get a public model of childcare, for women to be able to participate fully in society. And that's not just about women working, it's about volunteering, it's about sports, it's just about being in society. Like we need to have better childcare and better childcare options as well.
Okay.
So, can I ask a question there, Laura?
I got her on.
Or are you in this podcast too?
So we had a little pre-call, and I really wanted you to describe to the listeners what people think that you do when they hear your job title. So what gets fed back to you. And I think this is a really interesting piece because it's like advocacy is so incredibly important and people need to be spoken for by other females who represent them because we all represent each other whether we like it or not. But I just thought it was really, really funny how you you described it in shorthand, and I was like, that's brilliant because this is your find, you know what I mean? So I was just like, this is amazing. But I can't picture what you do in my head. You know what I mean? So lay it out.
Whenever I started this job and I was telling people, I'm now the executive director of the National Women's Council, people go, oh, brilliant, the council, fabulous. What is it that you do? So it's absolutely valid that you're asking this question, but I often get oh, are you just like the man-hitting, angry lesbian feminist?
That's the part.
And it's like, Jeannie Mac, now, I do be angry a lot. Like, there's a lot I think we be angry about.
Wearing that shirt, I can't take you seriously.
Wearing this shirt, how can I be serious?
Just a side note.
Her 5-year-old couldn't take her seriously this morning going out the door. She asked her, was she going to work?
Because I couldn't be serious.
Taken seriously in that shirt. It's a lovely floral shirt for us.
Ellie, you're getting no sweets tonight, that's for sure.
So what's your answer then? What is it? When people say, oh, you're angry shouting lesbians.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do be angry. I am a lesbian, so unfortunately I probably am feeling that moment. But generally, if you come into the National Women's Council tomorrow, you would see a group of about 20 people who are the loveliest, kindest people in this world. They're so intelligent, they're so dedicated to their job. But their job is essentially progressing women's right and making Ireland a better place for everyone, because it's, if we can get gender equality right, it doesn't just impact women, it impacts all of society.
Yes. This is the thing. We hear a lot of, and they are men, saying, well, what's all this fighting for women's rights and the equality? It's equality. That's the word.
Absolutely.
Equality. Yeah. We're not looking for more. We're looking for the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to this, the Women and Baby Clinic, because this is what spoke to me hugely.
Mother Baby Unit.
Mother Baby Unit, is because I suffered postnatal depression after my first, and oh God, what I wouldn't have done for a clinic that could have, I don't know if this would have happened, but noticed my symptoms. They would have noticed scars on my arm, and they would have noticed my weepiness and my anxiety, my requests for anything, morphine, Xanax, please, because I was so anxious. They trotted me up the hall, and I'm not, again, having a go at people and just pointing out the needs. Trotted me up the hall, asked me a list of 10 questions that I knew how to kind of get out of because I wanted to go home. I was too scared to stay in the hospital. Had I maybe been brought into a clinic at that point, given the rest, given the care, given the support, told, this is okay to feel like this, Laura, I don't know, would I have ended up in psychiatric care last year, because a lot of my postnatal depression was kind of carried through the last decade. So what would a mother baby clinic, am I saying that right?
Yeah, so what we're asking for is a specialised mother and baby unit. So there's been a little bit of progress over the last couple of years. Like we have these specialist perinatal mental health services. So in different hospitals and in different kind of healthcare settings, we have these teams. But quite often, whenever a woman gets a diagnosis, and quite often it's too late, it's whenever
Yeah.
things get really bad and
Yeah.
they're in crisis. And
Yeah.
can I just say, before I even go any further, thank you for sharing your
Oh,
story,
thanks,
because
yeah.
like, and I'm sure you probably hear it all the time, but it normalizes how so many women are feeling in this country that are
Mm-hmm.
just often ignored. And we spoke earlier about symptoms being dismissed. Like, like, and you know, we spoke earlier about the suicide rates of women.
Yeah.
So basically, our healthcare system after you have a baby is they check you after six weeks, and it's more of a physical check. Like, you
Oh,
do get
yeah.
asked those 10
it's-
questions, like, are you all right? You're
Are you
grand?
feeling weepy?
Yeah, yeah. I've just
Do you want to throw the baby out the window?
Yeah.
You're like, no one's going to fucking answer that. Like,
Yeah, yes, I do.
yes.
But like, you know, so many women at that 6-week point, that's them off like the health books, like they're done and dusted. So those women that we talked about that unfortunately took their own lives after having a baby,
Yeah.
it was all within like 42 days to a year. So well after that
So
6
well
week
after,
period.
yeah.
So at that stage they're signed off, they're grand, they're done and dusted, and that's it. So what we're asking for is a specialised mother and baby unit, and there's actually just been one that has been approved in Northern Ireland.
I heard this.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, which
From
we're
Belfast.
so delighted
Yes,
about.
I
So
know.
it's kind of like, right lads, we need one down here. In fact,
What
we
would
need
it
more.
do, Corrine? Because so I was 4 days postpartum. I needed help then and there. Would I have had to wait for the 6 week?
Well, what we're asking for is it's essentially an integrated team. So right
Okay.
from kind of day one that you would have a team around you to check on you, and there'll be more regular check-ins. And even if you go home from hospital, like they can do community work as well. So they can be calling you to check in
Okay.
and really, really noticing any signs and symptoms. But if
Wow,
you do need to
that's
then
super
go
cool.
into the unit, that you have the choice. And just to say, like the National Women's Council, we're all about choice. Anything that we're advocating for, it's not like saying like, oh, you must have this,
must,
that, and the
yeah.
other. It's always about giving women the choice. So in that case, with the mother and baby unit, you can bring your baby in with you if that is what you choose to do. Because so many times women are feeling the sense of, you know,
Guilt.
And all of a sudden now I'm here and this baby's at home, you know, and sometimes it can be that they can come in and they can leave again. But this is about giving women the choice to be able to say, I need to go in somewhere. I don't want to be separated from my baby, and I want to get the right care at the right time, at the right
Absolutely.
place, which is what our Sláinte Care health model is all about in this country. So
Okay.
it's about advancing that. But again, it's just about really recognizing women and listening to women.
Oh,
Like,
listen.
women go in all the time and they literally basically are kind of half saying I have postnatal depression, and still they're sent away and told to just like,
I
you
know somebody. I
read
know
a book,
somebody,
have a nice
yeah.
bath tonight. And you'll be
Somebody
fine.
I was in special care with, she was in there, she had a 5-week-old at home. She was in there and we had a huge bonding session, the two of us, because I was talking about it wasn't undiagnosed postnatal depression, but I didn't really treat it, and that was more on me.
Okay.
Like I didn't do much. Now, had maybe there been intervention early on, she was in quite early, but she was banging the doors down of the public system. She marched herself into the reception of St. Pat's and was sitting there crying, holding her baby and saying, I'm not leaving until you let me in. So this is the level of, you know, it makes me kind of sick thinking about it, and the loneliness and the fear that you get. Now, I had a bit of an experience because 2 weeks after I gave birth, I had a major infection, and so I had to go back into hospital for 3 nights.
Okay.
And it was heaven because I had midwives there. I had Lewin coming in and out, and I had midwives able to talk to me. I think that's what saved me from really falling over the edge, because I got to sleep, and and a midwife actually noticed Lewin's head. He had a cephalic hematoma. They noticed that that's not normal, and they put him into the baby clinic then. So if they had intervened at that time, if we had a mother-baby unit, I could have maybe gone into a kind of a hospital environment, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. And I had him there. Like, and as you say, like with Lewin, like you got to have that time with him, but you had slept, so you had good time with him. You know,
you're not terrified of him the whole time.
You know, and that's what it's about, you know. But again, if you have a specialised mother and baby unit, it's all about personalising and tailoring what that person needs at that time. So it's not prescriptive saying like you must do this and you must do that, and the child has to be there or it mustn't be there. Like it's really
So it's
about
like
your
it's
needs.
so far from institutionalizing.
completely.
It's a free will kind of
yeah.
suiting all needs. That sounds absolutely incredible.
Like I had my daughter during COVID, so and you know, like I had a lot of complications, so I was in every 3 weeks, and you know, quite often like my wife would be sitting outside in the car, and I'd be like texting her saying, "Oh, they're saying this now, they're saying that now." It was awful and it was terrible.
Oh, because she couldn't come in with
she
you.
couldn't come in because of COVID.
Yeah.
But I always remember that first night in the hospital having her, and they're so overstretched in the hospitals, and in the submission that we made in the health strategy, it's like. We need all of these wonderful things in place. We need units and we need more of this, that and other, but we actually need people and we need staff.
Yes.
And we need people to be paid right. We need people's working conditions not to be so precarious, because we need them to stay in the jobs, to grow and to learn and to really love what they do.
Absolutely. So this is a big one, and I need to be clear on this, because I still have midwives very upset by some of the reels that I do, because some of the conversation underneath the reels turn into like, oh, this midwife, and it turns into midwife bashing. And I repeatedly say this is not about midwife bashing. It was just an experience I had, and it's turned into this. So I've had midwives on my Insta and stuff like that, and I've talked to a lot, and a lot have reached out to me. Ultimately, that was the journey I was on when I ended up making contact with you, because it was actually, it's ultimately about systemic. It is a patriarchal system.
It's the structure.
It's the structure. People are not paid enough. We get compassion fatigue a lot sooner than we should, and there's not enough people. So that's would I be right in kind of making that?
100%. And like we can relate that to so many different things, like, you know, like anything in healthcare, like anything. And like, you know, I talked about the campaign earlier, the Together for Public, about a childcare system. A huge part of that is about actually paying our early years educators and making sure they have good working conditions. The turnover rates, and like I'm sure you know yourselves, in practice, it's mental. And I kind of understand it, because listening to people who work in those jobs, you're paid very little. You're expected to do so much. You get no training days, and like if you can get something better, like you're out the door. So it's about looking after the people that are actually there to look after us.
I'm totally like, and Jude isn't in childcare yet, is he?
No, we're waiting for the ECCE actually, so we're hanging on. But we're in, I'd say, a very small percentage of the population that like we both work from home. Audrey's becoming a little bit stressed out about the fact that she's like, she would be full-time mom. I would be kind of more than 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sometimes weekends in the office. So there's that. And because I see him, like, my office is in the garden, so I see them playing outside, and I'm just like, oh, my bad mom, and all the mom guilt. But like, we're coming to a point where we wanted to hold on, not because of money, but because of like that didn't even come into it. We just wanted to have him for as long as we could, and we just worked from home, and you just didn't. And also the creche that we've got him into now is just down the road, so we can just walk there. Brilliant. So ideal situation. And I understand how hard it must be to have to, due to your job or due to your professional circumstances, to have to put them in so early. We're just so fucking lucky. We are so incredibly lucky.
Went back when he was 5 weeks old. We went to a minder, and then he was in childcare, and then I got a job I was a 3.5 day week, and then I got a job when he was 6 months old, a 9 to 5 job, commuting in and out of Dublin. So I was gone from, we left at 7:15, and I didn't see him until 7 o'clock that night.
Wow.
And he did have, like, my dad came and got him, but the guilt, I remember sitting in front of the manager of the creche, bawling my eyes out, going, what do I do? I mean, I can't put him in all this. And she was like, look, he'll be fine. But it's horrendous having to do that, you know? And it's just the horrible guilt. But going back to the what's the name of the campaign?
So Together for Public.
Together for Public.
So we've just launched a roadmap in terms of what that would look like, and kind of how that needs to work to get to the system that we're talking about. Because it's not just about making sure there's places and that they're affordable. It's about making sure the children with all of their different needs can get a place. Because, you know, like where I live, all of the childcare providers have pulled out of like kind of the national kind of childcare model. So it's all just fee paying. So like they get no subsidies from the state because they pulled out of the model.
Why have they pulled out of the model?
Just they get more freedom to do it. They don't feel it kind of benefits them, but it does mean prices are higher as well. And we know ourselves, like a lot of crashes in terms of times for drops and collections. Like it doesn't, like, you know, if you're like working shift work and stuff, like it doesn't help. So the public model, it should be about having places, but about having, like, and they've talked in the government about having a €200 cap per month per child. So we're nowhere near that. They have just like announced this week more money into it to bring that down lower, but it's still nowhere near the 200 per child per month.
Say that again. So we could be subsidised 200.
Yeah. So basically,
we can only pay 200.
So basically, the programme for government states that they want to get to a point where childcare is €200 per month per child.
Oh, I imagine we're living in Sweden.
Wouldn't that be unreal?
Yes, that would be unbelievable. Yeah. But I actually think it's kind of more of a leak. We're fixing the thing that's collecting the water from the leaky bucket above. Yeah. Because what that is housing. And I'm not going to start waxing lyrical about housing, but like the housing crisis means that two people have to work. Yeah. You're in a same-sex marriage?
Yeah, and we both work.
You both work full time.
Yeah. So I work like mad crazy hours, and all weekends and everything. And then Susan, my wife, is an occupational therapist, and she works a 4-day week as well. So like, you know, we're out and about, we're busy people, but like we couldn't afford for one of us not to work.
I know.
And to put in childcare. And
I did make the faux pas at the school gates. I said, I was in just a fowler. I had to do like 3 or 4 runs up to the school. I was trying to do my full-time job, and I was talking to the woman, and she was like, "Oh, it's mad, all the back and forth." And I was like, "Yeah, but if this country would let us have one income families, then we'd be bloody grand." And she kind of got awkward and walked off. And of course, she's a one income family. I have nothing against that. Brilliant if you can. I was like, "Oh God, I was like, here comes the angry woman."
But then again, it's about the choice. Like, so we launched a family leave booklet early, actually, on the week of International Women's Day, whenever I was currently in a hospital having surgery.
Getting your ovary removed.
So having like missed that whole week, we had this piece outside the Dáil, outside Leinster House, and we had politicians come down, and essentially it was all about how we need to kind of close the gap on our family leave. So, you know, you're kind of expected to go back to work after, 6 months, and then take unpaid leave, where we want women to have the choice that if you want to stay at home for longer, that you should be able to, and that you're like financially remunerated for that. So at least for the first year of a child's life.
So a year.
If you want, and also like it can also be the man who stays home as well. Like it doesn't have to be the woman. Again, it's whatever suits you and your family. So we want that there's somebody, if they want to stay home for a year to look after the child at home, that's absolutely fine. But then at that year point, there has to be a public space for that child to go to childcare if that's what the family needs. And again, that €200 per month. Like, I mean, that's the dream. That's the goal.
Do you base structures off other countries that already have the year?
Yeah, like you look at like those
Sweden.
Nordic countries and stuff like that. But even like you look at maternity pay. So maternity pay here is like $299, whereas a lot of those countries base it on your income. So like in some of those Nordic countries,
of your income.
Yeah, you get like 60% of your income. So it's not like the full amount, but at least it means that you're not taking, for some people, a really significant drop. You know, down from
and
your
having
normal
to
salary, and then trying to figure out how you're going to
that's what the manager
yeah.
said to me. I rang her. Actually, she had since left, but I rang her. And I was like, "What am I supposed to do for maternity leave?" Because I had my second son, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" And she was like, "Well, you just kind of it's beans on toast for dinner, like for about 3 or 4 months." I was like, "This is like," and I was in a well-paid private sector job.
God.
It's just, it does. The more I lift the lid on it, which I've been doing a lot more in the last few months, and myself and Abby have been exploring on the inequality for women in Ireland, it boils my blood, and I just
go and work for NWC.
It's hard not to be angry about it.
So hard. Like it's so
angry lesbians.
hard. Like, actually, I saw a reel yesterday. I posted on my stories. There's a woman saying, she was an American influencer, and she was like, "I've asked women to post about like all the little things they do to kind of in feminist acts," and one of them was like, you know, "Oh, I ring the dad. I'm a secretary of a school, and I ring the dad first if the child is sick."
Love it.
And I had only seen this after, but yesterday the day before, my son was sick and he'd go home from school. I was out at a meeting or something, and I came back and I'd no missed calls, but Lewin had been picked up by Fergal, my husband. I was like, Lisa didn't call me, the secretary, because we're on first name, you know, obviously. And I asked Lisa, he said, "Oh no, she just called me." And I was like, "That's me, legend."
Yes.
I didn't tell her, that's amazing.
I love her even more now.
I know. And then I said it to
like
Fergal.
passive aggression, but it works. Like,
It's amazing. And I said it to Fergal today, and Fergal will be very up for equal rights of women, but but still he's a man. Unfortunately, he's conditioned, as I am conditioned, to expect more on me.
Yes.
For certain things, especially childcare. And I said to him today, I was like, legend. She obviously did, like Lisa, the secretary.
She must have seen
shout
it.
out to Lisa. She must have seen it and done this. And he was like, no, I do loads of the drop-offs, which he does, to be fair. So she was just calling like the most available parent. I was like, no, it's in.
I have no missed calls.
Yeah.
There's no missed calls here.
But even the WhatsApp groups, I'm sure you're both.
Oh my God! I've made
it's
Fergal join one.
all women.
Yeah, I've made Fergal join one. Doesn't do anything. It's ridiculous. I like the other night. This was my act of feminism, and actually, this is more seeing how inbuilt this is in me. Accepting the mental load, and again, nothing. And I'm not slating Fergal here. Fergal messaged me. I'd gone up to bed, and I'm in the attic, so he messaged me and was like, "Lewin needs new swimming togs. Could you mind getting them some?" And I was about to be like, "Yeah, sure." And then I was like, hold on. How about you get them? And 10 minutes later, he messaged me, done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that default to you look after the clothes, you look after the meals. And look, we
feel
do that.
like I feel like I'm in the opposite. I feel like I'm the one texting.
You're the one texting saying do it. Yeah, you are. You're the Fergal. We've crossed this.
Why am I a backseat driver? Like,
is it because Audrey had the baby? So I think this is another thing I want to ask you about this.
It's her personality.
But
she
you know,
took on the management role, and then I'm like, All right.
No,
take
but
a
I was going to say
backseat.
this from the get-go. The woman is the one to breastfeed, or told to breastfeed. The woman is the one that gets the fucking inoculation passports, and the woman is the one contacted, and the woman is the mother, I should say. And so in what, like, I suppose in same-sex marriages, does it default to with you?
No, like, I mean, I think definitely same-sex relationships, it's different.
Yeah.
Like, and I still have friends that are talking about, I'm going to go out at the weekend, but I'll see if my husband can mind the children. Like, I've never, I don't think ever said, I must see if Susan can mind Ellie. Like, I don't think I've ever said that. So I think it's a bit more even, but I definitely, like, I breastfed for the first number of months. So, like
it's on you.
Attached to me physically. But I think I'm a bit like yourself. Like Susan does a lot of stuff. Like, we try and split the drops and the collections. Like, I'd be more in the WhatsApp groups, but she's the one that's kind of keeping an eye out in terms of what clothes is needed. And
I think myself and Audrey have naturally fallen into something, but I do feel a lot of the time like she takes more on, maybe because she feels like she has to, but also because it's just become a natural.
Yeah.
That's what I think with me
a
and
natural
Fergal.
passive thing that she just does it because, the way I'm like, my job is very hands-on with the business. Like, I'm making stuff and I'm, I do a parts of the admin when it comes to production, but she's on the admin side of things. So there are days, not in the last while, but there are days where she can jump in and out of emails and cook lunch or like do lunch or like play with Jude or bring him out, So there is stuff that she could just randomly do because I'm there making stuff. But I think that, like, when it comes down to it, those things, those life admin things, like looking for lampshades or like, you know what I mean, like bringing the carpet down to the laundrette that's too big for the washing machine. Like, I think it's even, but I can't escape the mom guilt thing because she's the primary carer.
I know. On the mum guilt, right? And that you're talking about, myself and Fergal definitely do fall into natural. I mean, I don't know how much gender comes into it, to be honest, because of his ADHD, he gets really anxious and hates dealing with, like, this morning the car wouldn't start. So he was like, will you ask the neighbours? Because he just can't, he hates asking people or dealing with those kind of things. But some of it society puts on us is that expectation of, well, you're the mum. So I should say you're the birther. Yeah. I mean, so... But actually, it's quite interesting that the two of you have babies. Mel, Ellie's 2.
So Ellie's 5.
5, so 2 years older than Jude. Did you both go through the same IVF process, just out of interest?
European Sperm Bank.
European Sperm Bank.
It's like Tinder for sperm.
Yeah.
Nope. Yes.
Yeah.
So we went through the same process. So like, I had Ellie
And it wasn't your partner's embryo. It wasn't reciprocal IVF.
No.
It was your egg.
Yeah. So,
obviously, did you collect, or was your daughter the only one? Was there a collection made and put on ice?
Oh, yeah.
And she was a fresh batch, or was she frozen batch?
So I had a number of embryos. Yeah. And actually, I have a video. It's so mental. I don't know if you got it as well. But whenever they were doing like the
retrieval.
No, not the retrieval, the insemination.
Yeah.
Whenever they were popping her back in, they handed me a USB and I was like, oh, this is a nice little perk of, free USB. And then I put it in and it's actually
you could see
video
it going in.
Of like
the embryo being implanted.
No. Well, you can see that live.
The sperm going into the egg.
But actually, the sperm going into the egg and it turning into an actual embryo. And
Sounds
it's
like
that is the start of Ellie. Like,
wow.
It's so mental.
We've got pictures of Jude as a little
embryo.
What's the name for it?
Zygote?
No, something blast.
Oh, plioblast, is it?
Something like that.
God, I can't remember.
Blastocyte.
Blastocyte, yeah.
Plioblast. Incredible.
It's so mental to see that. Because I had a number of like eggs that were removed and so there was loads of embryos. So I was like, so do you have videos of every single one of those we made? And they're like, we keep cameras and everything.
That's
super cool.
So bizarre.
So future-y, isn't it?
Quite scary. Scary.
And another question I had for you, which is actually off topic. Are loads of men frightened of you? Because men frightened of you just in social situations because of your role?
I definitely get men that say awkward things, but I think it's kind of like, oh God, I didn't mean it that way. And I'm like, oh, calm down, like, you're grand. But I also get women who are afraid of it.
I was going to say,
well, And I think like
I'd say you get more beef off women though.
It's mixed. I mean, on social media, like, you know, no matter what we put up on social media, like we're always going to get a lot of hate, you know, and a lot of our stances on like trans rights and on abortion. So we would get a lot of like kind of hate on that, and there'd be heat put on at different times. I mean, the Social Democrats a few weeks ago tried to pass through a bill to kind of, I suppose, expand out on abortion care in this country, remove the 3-day wait period, you know, and a few different things. And we were very supportive of that. But I mean, like, you know, we were getting lots of heat online, and, you know, I think...
making generalizations, how can you be wrong about giving any kind of support? That's baffling to me, because you represent everyone's voice in as large a capacity as you possibly can. And like... just
like, we're a membership-based organisation.
Just questioning the issues is like, so why would you have any?
It's bizarre.
Like we take our mandate from our members. Like so, we've an AGM coming up, and even at that, like, people like will put in motions to say, like, I want the National Women's Council to represent this or talk about that. Our members come together and they vote on it. So it's not like we just go, oh, I think we'll say this tomorrow for the crack. You know,
you have your own democracy.
And it's based on what
based
our members
on what your members
are telling us.
organisations across Ireland,
and like some of those are like the unions as well that have thousands of members. Like, so like they're like, it's a huge bunch of people that come together to decide what our primary focuses are for the next year. But like, whenever it comes to like healthcare, and, you know, it seems to still be this real bone of contention that we don't want to acknowledge women. We don't talk about what is right for women. We still have a lot of men around tables making decisions about our bodies.
That's bizarre.
You know, and even simple things like the 3-day wait period, you know. So like, I just find it so... it kills me, the fact that it's still there. You know, if a woman has made a decision to have an abortion, she goes to the doctor, like, that's gone on in her head. She's made that decision.
3 days.
There's no other time sensitive procedure in this world that a doctor would say, do you know what, just go home again and think about it again for another few days and then come back to us. It's so like paternalistic.
Do you know, it's taken away from the woman as well. It's like the woman can't go,
you can't make that decision about your body.
I will make that decision in 3 days' time. Like, the woman can go, I'm not ready to make that decision yet.
Absolutely.
It's just totally like...
It's the fact that it's mandatory. like a woman could still go to a doctor.
I'm lesbian. Oh no, wait, you're not a lesbian.
I'm a lesbian. But that's what I mean. A woman can still go to a doctor and decide to wait 3 days herself.
Absolutely. It's that mandatory piece.
Pat on the head. You go away now, little...
Have you really thought about this now, love? You know, and
it is.
So it's that piece. Like, a woman can still go to a doctor and be like, I'm still not sure, I don't know, and a doctor can still say, you know, like, it sounds like you haven't, you know, like, you know, if you want, you can take another few days. But it's this piece where you make so. In this country, like, abortion is up to 12 weeks, but because of 3-day mandatory waiting period, like, you have to be at your doctor by like 11 weeks and 3 days, so you're able to go home. And like, a lot of women don't find out they're pregnant until maybe a little bit later on. So like, that decision's been rushed anyway. But it's just the idea of, like, I can't think of any other procedure, especially, as I say, that time sensitive one, where anybody's going to a doctor and being told to go home and just to have another wee think about it. You know,
it's so patronising. It's actually crazy patronising. I mean, when I think we just had. We were talking to a Gen Zer, and obviously abortion is obviously, when did abortion come out? When did the choice?
2018.
18. So it's only quite new. And I think back to the morning after pill back when we were younger. It was if it was a Friday of a bank holiday weekend, and you needed the morning after pill, you'd have to go to the emergency doctor. I don't know if it was the same. You grew up north,
yeah,
right?
I'm from Tyrone. Yeah.
So you'd have to go to an emergency doctor, which cost like 150 quid. So if you're 17, 18, you don't have this money. Then you have to go find someone to give you a lift out to this emergency doctor. And there was one particular doctor, I don't remember his name, nor did I say it, but he was definitely very, very wildly inappropriate with women, a lot of young women. So they'd be going in 16, 17 and letting him, you know, examine them and stuff like that. And you just let it happen, and just, you know, like, this happened to me as well, you know. And he was rattling around, but you couldn't, because it was your only choice, and then you had to get the morning after pill via that. So
this was just to get the morning after pill.
Just to get the morning after pill. So you had to find an emergency doctor, because no GP would be open, because do you remember it wasn't available over the counter until 2018, or no, not abortion. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Contraception.
Contraception pill. Yeah. So when I grew up, the morning after pill. I'm getting confused here. The morning after pill wasn't available until whatever I was 20 something over the counter. So you had to make a doctor's visit. But if there was no doctors available Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you had to find an emergency doctor, of which there was only a few, South County Dublin, I don't even know in the country. And you'd be put to the hands of this prick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was just, I'm like,
Awful.
you know,
Yeah.
but that was what we were in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think now, I'm only getting angry about that now. I think about this 10 years, in 10 years' time when I look back on, the more I pull at this thread,
Oh,
like
yeah,
after
yeah,
I had to
yeah.
go, like, I'm okay, whatever about all the
There's
labour stuff.
misogyny all throughout
my God.
everything, you know.
It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
What top 5 things make you the most angry lesbian?
Yeah. Great
But
question.
to be honest with you,
Like it.
like number one is violence against women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like already on this island, we've had 5 women murdered at the hands of men. Like it is so incredibly
This
shocking.
year?
This year.
Oh my
like,
God.
we're only
Yeah,
in
you didn't
early
put
June.
that. You didn't slot
Yeah.
that in. I was like 5.
like,
That's
oh, that's
very
it.
little.
Yeah, you know, like just this year
year.
alone.
And have any men, because people will ask us, have any men been killed by the hands of women this year?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No. But I mean, the figures are just astounding. So, like the top one for me anyway, and I think for a lot of the work that we do in the National Women's Council, is violence against women.
Yeah.
It is just at like epidemic crisis levels.
I've seen
We're
that,
not shouting about it enough. Like, you know,
Why is it so epidemic now? Do you know?
there's so many different reasons, you know, and like somebody said to me recently, because it is like Northern Ireland is one of the most dangerous places for a woman to live, and like somebody said to me, like, why is that? And I think a lot of it is like there is a bit of a legacy still from like the Troubles.
Yeah, the
You know, like
tragedy,
a lot
yeah.
of people, even my age and older, like they grew up and violence was
There
very
is trauma.
normalised,
Yeah,
and people see that and stuff. So, but there's so many different reasons. The manosphere, hate that word. But
Yeah,
like,
do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's the rise of the manosphere?
we've
It's
really
the
normalised
accessibility that
yeah.
people can jump on a fucking pyramid scheme. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they can jump on. If they have a notion one day and they just end up watching this, they get fed it by YouTube, and the next 2 videos is the same thing, and then they get sucked in without even knowing
So
it.
do you think it's
so
that? Yeah.
accessible now? So like we were talking earlier about like the manosphere. People are talking like this is some new concept. It's not. It's just
Yeah.
like it's
Just
now
has a name
online.
now, yeah.
It's got a different flavour,
Yeah,
and
but
it's also
even-
very addictive
But even
on an
pornography
addictive platform.
is just insane. Like I remember a few years ago hearing that if you wanted to watch strangulation porn, you had to like type it into the search bar, but now you don't because it's just such mainstream.
It's just a
porn.
main porn.
God.
It's like it's in nearly every couple of videos.
What the
But
fuck?
like there's research out there that like 8 and 9 year olds are having porn, like whether they're
Yeah,
stealing maybe
that
their big
is.
brother's phone or you know,
Yeah.
it's coming to them whether they want it or not.
8 and 9-year-olds on incel sites as well. You mentioned.
Yeah.
That is-
I was listening to a researcher, and she hasn't published the research yet, but she spent about 100 days on an incel website. And whilst we all know kind of roughly what they are, like she was talking about, you know, if you do like 5 posts a week, you get say a star. If you do 10, you know, so there's this
Oh my
ranking
God,
system.
incentivized.
Yeah, absolutely.
So weird.
And then if you say something positive about a woman, or you say like,
gone.
"Oh, my sister's
You're
actually
cancelled.
great," it's like, well, you don't stand with our values, so goodbye, and you're booted out. Like it's built on such hatred, you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
So I think all of this kind of coming together
Okay.
is really exasperating.
Okay.
You know, this violence.
So
towards
violence
women.
against women would be number 1.
Yes. Oh God, I hate having to rank these.
Well,
things.
no, okay. So we will take this with there's a lot you're an angry
There's
lesbian
a
about.
lot that we're angry about.
And that's okay.
You don't
But
even need
I
to be a
just-
lesbian
I
to
just
be
kind
angry
of
at
want
that, to be fair.
I want to fire up our listeners as well.
Yeah,
So
I think
violence against
healthcare,
women.
like
Yeah,
healthcare for
yeah,
women,
God.
you know, like we even published contraception research actually a few weeks ago. So the Department of Health asked us to publish this research because they wanted to know what are the barriers for women accessing this
Yeah.
contraception, because it was made free a few years ago, and they were like the numbers aren't as high as what we thought. So we like did lots of focus groups. We brought in researchers, and essentially kind of turns out like everything in our healthcare, like if you're like a migrant woman, like it's not accessible to you. If you're like, you know, an IPAS centre, like it's
Yeah.
generally not available to you. You know, if you're a disabled woman, LGBT, so all of the different marginalised groups of women in our society. So interestingly, the broader kind of public were all able to access and knew about the free contraception
Yeah.
scheme, but all of these different groups of people, there were barriers to the point where 1 in 3 women said that they had a barrier to accessing contraception.
My God.
You know, especially LGBT community, really like intrusive questions like why would you need it, and you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
if you're gay, like
It's
you
so
wouldn't need
fucking
this.
weird.
I do need to be ignorant and ask, why would a same-sex, why would lesbians need contraceptive pills?
For lots of different, even for health, like you know, heavy periods. And
Oh,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
of course. Yeah,
So
sorry, yeah.
lots of different reasons, or you know, acne and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
lots
so
of
Or
okay,
different for that.
being
yeah.
advised against it just because the fear is in pregnancy, the fear is something
Yeah,
else. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
So fucking
And
stupid.
disabled women, like querying why a disabled woman, because like I don't know, do doctors think they don't have sex?
Oh my
you know,
God,
like
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
you know
yeah,
really
wow.
in there.
And you say barrier, just to kind of get our heads around this, barrier could be anything from I feel embarrassed talking to my doctor doctor versus
My
I
husband
literally
doesn't know.
don't have money.
I can't afford a GP.
can't-
I
can't
don't have
afford-
a GP is another
You
one.
could get to a bloody doctor.
Yeah, so a barrier, like, you know, maybe to our
Access, I
listening,
suppose.
like any kind of access.
But
so
also
you're
it
studying all those
ends
areas.
at 35. So
Oh,
one of the
wow.
other barriers was, well, I'm 36, so now I have to pay for it and all the rest.
wow.
So,
Or go the HRT route, which
well,
is
not
no,
necessarily for
contraception.
Oh, right, okay.
So what we are now asking for is that it's written in many different languages. So
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of women who,
Right, of
and
course.
also the cultural kind of stigma. So like, you know, maybe a woman from a particular culture coming in and a doctor not even suggesting it because they have it in their head, well, they're clearly not
She's-
going to
yeah,
want to
yeah,
need it
yeah.
because of their
Yeah,
religion or their culture
yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
the case
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
about saying, you know, like there is an option there if you would like it, you know, again, back to the choice of the woman. So you're not forcing it on anybody, but like women need to know that it's there. But the language is a big thing. So like in a lot of websites, it's all just English and sometimes in Irish, but like definitely not in other languages.
Yes,
so
of
women
course.
don't even know it exists. But whenever you think about lots of different types of healthcare, it's all the same stuff that comes up. These barriers, like whether it's contraception or HRT or whatever it is, the barriers are all the same. So structurally, and it comes back to what you were saying earlier, we
Unfortunately.
need to change so much about our system. And a huge part of what we ask for is like gender sensitive training, and what we're looking like every submission we
Oh
put in,
my
it
God,
always comes in there
please.
gender sensitive
Yeah.
training
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be looking at things more with that kind of gendered lens on it, like you know, and to
This is
really,
a woman you're speaking to.
Yeah.
She is far more likely to have endometriosis, or if she's what is it? Do you have any facts on this? When was your last period? Have you drank lots of water? You could just be anxious. Like, wasn't the first woman who had hantavirus on that cruise ship? She had hantavirus and she was sent away because they said she had anxiety. She was
I didn't
given
know
a
that.
Xanax and
I
sent
wouldn't
away.
be surprised.
Do you have any facts behind this? Why are women not heard in because it's run by men? Is that why?
Like largely, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, and like I mentioned the gender sensitive training, like that brings in anti-racism, like it
Yes.
brings in like all of these different elements because like. I think, you know, we have legal team or medical teams that are taught in a certain way,
What
and it's very black and white.
Can I
you know, it's
interject
the
before I
symptoms.
forget my
Yeah,
question?
Yeah.
What
does this.
what does that training look like? So say for example, someone took on your training and took your advice. Is it a forum that they have to go to themselves? Is it a course that they do? Is it a little pamphlet that's handed to them as a GP?
Yeah. It's kind of everything. But what we want is basically, like, there are trainings like that you can get, like they're online trainings, but it's about making it mandatory.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big thing. So
Bring
like,
it
there's a lot
into
of
Yeah, and
training.
that's the hardest.
Like, whenever you
that's
think
the
about
hardest part.
safeguarding training,
Yeah.
like whenever you're dealing with any kind of medical world or anything, like you have to do it. It's mandatory, and it's about trying to get it mandatory so that everybody gets it. But essentially, like what it means is that whenever you're coming in as a woman, they're actually looking at you in all of kind of that aspect of being a woman. So they're not saying, "Oh God, she's coming in
Hysterical.
with like she's coming with a pain in her side. It must be her appendix." It's going, well, actually, there's probably a lot more things going on there, and
not her
really,
period.
and really looking at a woman and seeing kind of what then they need to be looking for. But again, it brings in then that kind of anti-racism, kind of LGBTQ plus kind of approaches as well. So it's really looking at the spectrum of who we are as people, and not just like medical kind of like what drugs will we give them, you know?
How we keep them quiet. Give her have you tried a bit of hot chocolate and paracetamol? And so the healthcare system, would that incorporate, or would number 3 be around the perinatal, postnatal?
Yeah. Like I would definitely call that out as a very separate piece. Like again, it's kind of related to the health, but to have that separate mother and baby unit, you know, for women would just be a game changer, you know. And it's
huge.
It's about really listening to what the women all across this island are telling us that they need. And like as I say, Northern Ireland have disapproved their first one. It's a really, really positive first step.
How big is it going to be? Like, because
I don't know. Like I don't think they've kind of really gone into that level of detail. Not that I'm aware of. They could have done, but I also love as well. So I'm from Northern Ireland, and there's always a sense that we always need to look to the south to see what we need to do. But I love the fact
this
that
is
in
amazing.
this case,
amazing.
Northern
It is
Ireland
amazing.
has done this, and we're kind of
I know,
going,
I was so happy to see
look
it.
at that.
And I did talk about that last week, that we have the fact that they have one, and all we want is one. And look, we're not going to get all the mothers with postnatal depression into the clinic. It's not going to work like that. But the fact that if the government can concede to giving us this, it's showing us a little bit that we're heard.
Yeah.
It's not my friend going into St. Pat's and sitting there in tears until she gets seen, because she's been seen by the other public system. I get goosebumps thinking about it, because I think of the horror and the terror that I went through in postnatal depression, and most of it was because I was too scared to say it.
Yeah.
Because the system and society and women do fall afoul to this. if you have the baby blues, you're a bit of a shit mum.
Oh,
There is just a bit of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was given a speech a few weeks ago, and it was all around like women's health, and I called that out to say like, but like that's what society has put on women.
Totally.
Like society has said, if you aren't, you know, if you're not
doing
there,
this,
if you're not doing this, if you're not breastfeeding, if you're not, you know, you're terrible, you know.
Yeah.
And it's about, you know, and even we talk about the manosphere, it's a whole society approach to actually shift and to make this change happen, which is a mammoth task, and it's a huge part of like the work that we do is like we chip away at trying to get this, because we want Ireland to be a more equal place for everybody to live in. I'm thinking about what number 4
No,
is.
well, you know what, top three was pretty
Top three
good.
was
but
beefy.
what I do want to ask you one question for, if anyone for some godforsaken reason is listening to this podcast and is thinking, well, you must be an angry lesbian after listening to it.
Fuck off.
Do you hate men?
No, I
you for
love
saying
men.
that.
I have grown up with the most wonderful men around me. You know,
Exactly.
I have 2 brothers who I love dearly. I have a
I got a man
stepdad.
to hang my television yesterday. Actually.
And you have a friendship with Fergal.
Yeah,
There we
go.
Fergal
That's
is
2.
Fergal is fucking sound. To be fair,
Yeah, Fergal's
he's
a
a
good
keeper.
one. He's a good one.
Like I have so many wonderful men in my life, and have done from day dot. Like you know, so like again, this isn't about hating men.
Yes.
It's about equality.
That's
it's
it.
about making sure that a woman can pretty much do as much and if not more.
Yeah, we will eventually get there. We'll eventually
and
get there.
obviously we're dominating.
That was actually my last question. Is Abby saying we'll get there? Do you think there's going to be change for the likes of me and Abby in our 40s, heading into kind of perimenopause, menopause, and raising kids, and into our 50s? Do you think by the time I'm 50, I'll be able to look back on the last 10 years in Ireland as a woman and go, I'm really proud of where we are now?
I worry that we won't.
Like because of men.
But I do. Like, I'd love to be able to say, absolutely, we're going to sort it all out. But I think we're constantly fighting back at things that we've already won. You know, like we look at what's happening in America, we look at how like certain things kind of trickle their way over.
Yeah.
Like the rise of the far right, the rise of misinformation, the rise of the manosphere. So you're constantly just peddling against all of that kind of stuff.
So the war that we thought we'd kind of won is just,
we're still in it.
There's more. There's new people coming in every time.
And somebody recently said to me, even whenever you've like ticked the box and you think you've got like marriage equality, like you know, it's like we got it. But it's so easy for those rights. You have to keep the foot in the pedal at all times.
Yeah, it's so easy for them to be taken away.
Yeah, you can't be complacent with anything.
So what can we do?
Get
Sound.
As women,
sound.
what do you need us to do? Do you need to just go online and help sign
Start
submissions?
marrying women.
Marrying women.
I'm taken. And so is she. And so is she.
Do you know, I kind of come back to it again. It's an all of society approach.
Okay.
So, but it is about women like calling out like other women. It's about women calling out men. It's about like, and it's also about the men in the WhatsApp. Like I'm always saying to my brothers, like, you know, in their WhatsApp groups, like if somebody's been a bit on a WhatsApp group,
say it.
like call it out, like, hey, that wasn't cool, like, you know, and like people will kind of recognise that and they'll step back. But there's so much that we need to do on the ground, like in our homes, in our schools. But then there's governmental change, and like that's where we're constantly advocating. Like I'm meeting with like different TDs and ministers and councillors and everybody
Such a
all
scary
of
job.
the time.
Such a scary job.
I know, terrifying.
Constantly be at them.
I'd be
in
blacking out
terms of-
like every day.
Yeah, blacking out.
Every day. Hello?
Turning,
you're a minister. Bye.
turning red. So, okay, and this is what I've learned doing the midwife stuff and all the conversations and the backlash. I'm like, it is systemic.
Yeah.
But like that woman who said she brought her mother in, who advocated for her because her husband couldn't really do it or wasn't there or whatever. It needs to start with us. It needs to start with us, and we need to start. Like, for example, I asked you the question about why would someone in a same-sex relationship need contraception. I think we do need to be brave and ask those questions. And I think we need to be brave and say we need help. And I think we need to be brave and say, I need somebody to advocate. And I'm sorry, but it's not a man right now. It's not about man hating. It's about looking for equality. And it has to start with us, I think. It really has to start with us. And we all need to be on the same page in order to get it.
That's it.
But I think it's hard. I think it's hard to see what other people's complications are when you're so so into your own life, and that's a very a self-involved approach. I would never want to be ignorant. I would always want to be educated. I would always want to know. But like these things, like what you've explained, is mind blowing to me, because this is the barriers that you talk about. You don't think about someone else's barriers when you're trying to look for the thing yourself. You don't worry about other people's barriers when you're trying to fight it so fucking hard yourself. And we even talked about, like, you know, the ages we are and having the kids as young as we do. Like the previous generation would have been going through perimenopause when their kids were a little bit older, so they weren't be going through the same phase. And we talked about being tired. How are you? Yeah, tired. I'm tired. Laura's tired. She's tired. You're probably no, you're not.
Emma's
You're only
22.
23.
She's all right.
She's not tired at all. We're all tired, just all of the fucking time.
Where are you going with this?
It's like having the ability to advocate for someone, and that's what you're doing, but you're doing it like. You're doing it directly, but on social media. So
that's
it's like it's this, like, when people are passively enjoying their evening, they see you. This infiltration of social media isn't so bad in a sense, because we get to see people like you and you saying your piece and being informed and going, holy shit, actually, you know that video that I sent you. How do you feel about this? Like knee-jerk reaction. Like we have knee-jerk reactions because we want to not be the fence sitters anymore. You know,
and we need people to get off the fence. Like,
we need people to get off the fence. And I would say
know.
that to anyone who gets offended by the midwife reels, think about this conversation and think about how this is not women against women. We need to work together on this. And this is not about me saying midwives are bad. This is about the system needs to change. Let's get together on that. Oh my God, Corrinne, I could talk to you all day. This is
fucking amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
And I like your non-serious talk too.
Yeah, I like a non-serious.
You're really vibing today.
I couldn't take you seriously at all. So, Corrinne,
she's only joking.
So tell everyone where can we follow? So we'll follow Irish Women's Council, National Women's Council.
National Women's Council. We're all over social media, so you can get us on Instagram and everything, but our website as well.
You give me all the details and we'll put them below. Thank you so much for joining us. It was absolutely amazing.
Don't forget to marry a woman.